Spending more on a washing machine fails to guarantee a better one. One of the brands on this list charges close to $2,000 for a machine that consumers report failing within 4 years. Another was once considered a trusted Australian icon. A third caused over 200 fires in Australian homes. 10 brands, all of them still carrying their original marketing promises, very few of them delivering. The Australian washing machine market is being reshaped simultaneously by consumer backlash, independent testing that is finding brand after brand wanting, and new mandatory safety standards taking effect from July 2026. From that date, every new washing machine sold in Australia must include a dual-action child safety start mechanism. Brands unable to afford their design cost are already preparing to exit. The consumers who bought their machines in the meantime are dealing with the consequences of that decision. If you want more consumer reporting like this, joining the channel is the most direct way to support it. Number 10. Q. Australia's cheapest washing machine in Choice's current test round is also the lowest performer. That combination, minimum price and minimum performance, makes it easy to understand why this brand sits at number 10 rather than number 1, but it remains an unsafe purchase for the Australian consumer whose primary motivation is finding the lowest entry price on a laundry appliance. Choice testing placed the Chick front loader at the bottom of the pack for overall performance. The brand positions itself on price alone, with Australian retail listings concentrating on the headline dollar figure and offering minimal information about after-sales support, spare parts availability, or the service infrastructure that a machine purchased for several $100s will eventually require. Appliance manufacturers operating at the budget extreme of the market frequently manage their warranty obligations at minimum cost. A machine that is inexpensive to produce is often inexpensive to replace under warranty, which means the resolution offered to consumers experiencing early failure is a replacement unit rather than a repair, and the replacement unit arrives from the same production line as the one that failed. From July 2026, the new mandatory child safety standard requires a dual-action start mechanism on every new washing machine sold in Australia. Budget brands operating on thin margins face a redesigned cost that may exceed the commercial viability of continuing in the Australian market. Q's position at the lowest price point in the category places it in the most vulnerable position when compliance costs rise. Australian consumers who purchase at the budget end of the washing machine market are making a calculation that the lower upfront cost justifies the potential trade-off in performance and longevity. The choice data for Q suggests that calculation deserves more scrutiny than the price tag alone invites. A machine that underperforms across independent testing criteria is a machine that delivers less of what the consumer bought it to do with every cycle it runs. Number 9. Daewoo. The brand's Australian washing machine operation has wound down. Models that appeared in retail listings have been discontinued without replacement, and the consumer who purchased a Daewoo washing machine from a major Australian appliance retailer in recent years now owns a product whose manufacturer has effectively withdrawn from the category in this market. The consequence of that withdrawal is practical and immediate. Spare parts for discontinued Daewoo washing machine models become progressively harder to source as the manufacturer's inventory of components is depleted. Authorized service technicians familiar with the brand's specific engineering become rarer. The consumer holding a Daewoo machine outside its warranty period faces repair costs that escalate as parts scarcity increases. Choice's washing machine testing database includes results for Daewoo models labeled discontinued. The presence of those results in the discontinued category rather than the active category is itself informative. A brand that was present in choice testing and has since been removed from the active review pool has left the mainstream market. What it left behind are the machines in Australian laundries and the consumers managing them. For Daewoo washing machine owners in Australia, the brand's market exit means the practical support framework that ownership implies has been withdrawn. Service agents still operating on Daewoo products are working from diminishing parts inventory. The complexity of older electronic controls makes servicing harder as component availability declines. Consumers who purchased a Daewoo machine expecting a decade of use may find their remaining years of that lifespan harder to sustain than the purchase suggested. If the data here was worth your time, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to keep pushing this kind of coverage. Number 8. Whirlpool. A single recommended model across all choice testing is the sum total of this brand's performance validation in the Australian market. For a brand with global scale, decades of manufacturing history, and a presence in Harvey Norman and appliances online, a one-from-many result in independent testing represents a significant credibility gap between marketing reach and product quality. Consumer complaints on Australian review platforms document a consistent pattern of pump failures, spin cycle problems, and drainage issues occurring within the machine's expected operational lifespan. Product review entries for Whirlpool washing machines in Australia include accounts of failures at 4 years, at 5 years, and in some cases well within the warranty period. Its consumer satisfaction rating across Australian review platforms sits below what its retail presence and price point would lead a buyer to expect. Repair economics around Whirlpool machines in Australia compound the reliability issue. Part sourcing for a global brand with a limited Australian dealer network can produce extended delays when service is needed. A machine sitting offline while parts are on order from an overseas warehouse is a machine that is creating real inconvenience for the household depending on it. Whirlpool's global parent company has faced financial pressures in recent years that have affected product investment across multiple markets. The Australian subsidiary operates within a broader corporate context that determines how much development capital flows into the washing machine range that Australian consumers encounter on the showroom floor. Reduced development investment is visible in product cycles. When a manufacturer is managing cost pressures at the global level, the pace at which aging platforms are replaced with updated engineering slows. Australian consumers purchasing a Whirlpool washing machine today may be buying into a product platform whose underlying architecture is several years older than the model year on the box suggests, with the reliability implications that carry for a machine expected to run daily for a decade. Number 7. Euromade. Choice awarded 0 recommended models across all Euromade washing machine testing. The brand's presence in Choice's review system has been reclassified to the discontinued category, reflecting a product range that has been pulled from mainstream Australian retail without our placement strategy being publicly communicated. For consumers who purchased Euromade washing machines through mid-range appliance retailers, the brand's withdrawal creates the support vacuum that follows any manufacturer exit. Warranty claims beyond the standard period have no brand infrastructure behind them. Spare parts availability diminishes as manufacturing runs are exhausted, and service technicians familiar with the specific models become harder to find and more expensive to engage. The Euromade name was associated in Australian retail with a European positioning at a mid-range price point. That positioning attracted buyers who were looking for something above a budget brand, but below a premium one, a category that several brands on this list have found commercially unsustainable. The combination of competitive pressure from Chinese manufacturers at the bottom of the market and established premium brands at the top has compressed the mid-range space where Euromade operated. A brand that exits the market without a formal announcement creates a specific problem for the consumer. There is no recall, no refund program, and no communication channel through which ongoing product support can be requested. The machine simply becomes an orphan appliance in a household whose owner may be unaware that the manufacturer is gone. Consumers most affected by Euromade's quiet exit are those who purchased machines that are still within an expected operational lifespan but outside the original warranty period. For those owners, a mechanical failure now means engaging with a third-party repair market where technicians may be unfamiliar with the brand's specific engineering. Part sourcing has become a matter of luck rather than logistics. The mid-range price point that attracted them to Euromade over a budget alternative has produced a mid-range outcome for longevity, alongside a budget-level support experience when things go wrong. Has one of these brands cost you money? Leave the name in the comments. Number 6. Kmart Anko. 0 recommended models in Choice washing machine testing. The Anko brand, which Kmart sees across a wide range of product categories from cookware to electronics to laundry appliances, presents a specific purchasing dynamic. The retail environment that sells it is familiar and trusted, while the product itself carries none of the independent validation that a considered appliance purchase should require. A washing machine differs fundamentally as a purchase decision from a kitchen utensil or astarage container. It represents hundreds of dollars, operates daily under significant mechanical stress, and is expected to function reliably for years rather than months. Anco's zero-choice recommendation record in the washing machine category reflects a product that independent testing found failing to meet the standard that the investment requires. Comart's returns policy provides a pathway for consumers experiencing early failures to seek a remedy. What it provides less clearly is the long-term parts and service infrastructure that a washing machine requires over its full expected operational life. Retailers that sell Anco appliances are set up to move units rather than manage multi-year warranty obligations or supply replacement components for machines that fail outside the standard returns window. The new mandatory safety standard taking effect in July 2026 applies to every brand, including house brands sold through discount retailers. For the consumer who has already purchased a Kmart Anco washing machine, the more immediate question is longevity. A machine sourced at the price point that Anco occupies is built to a cost specification that prioritizes the sale rather than the decade. Consumers who extend their expectations beyond 3 to 4 years of reliable operation are extending beyond what the product's construction economics typically support. Number 5. Midea. Consumer Reports placed this brand 14th out of 20 washing machine manufacturers in its most recent reliability assessment. Choice's Australian testing has reclassified Midea washing machines to the discontinued category, meaning the brand's current models are absent from active review rounds. A manufacturer whose products are absent from the active test pool is a manufacturer whose Australian market presence is contracting. The specific complaints documented across consumer review platforms for Midea washing machines are consistent. Clothes emerging still wet after spin cycles that should extract most of the moisture, internal leaks that develop without obvious external cause, error codes appearing without corresponding mechanical faults, and a customer service infrastructure that consumers describe as difficult to access and slow to resolve problems. Midea is a large Chinese manufacturer with a global footprint that extends across multiple appliance categories. Its scale provides financial resilience that smaller brands lack. What it has failed to translate into, in the Australian washing machine market, is a product performance record that justifies consumer confidence in the brand's laundry range specifically. The Electrolux Midea partnership announced in 2025 has created uncertainty in the Australian market about supply chains and brand positioning. For Australian households that purchased Midea washing machines through mainstream retail channels, the brand's reduced testing presence and the documented consumer complaint patterns create a straightforward question about whether the machine in their laundry will continue to function across its expected lifespan, or whether they are holding an appliance whose manufacturer's local commitment is contracting around it. Number 4. Simpson. Decades of trust built this name's identity in Australian laundry. Machines bearing this brand ran in Australian homes for 15 and 20 years without requiring a service call. The washing machine that Choice tests today, under the Simpson name, receives 0 recommended models, and the gap between what the brand once was and what independent testing now finds is one of the more dramatic falls in Australian appliance history. Electrolux acquired the brand and the associated heritage, and the Simpson machines sold in 2026 share manufacturing origins with other brands in the Electrolux portfolio, rather than the distinct engineering that built the brand's reputation across earlier decades. Consumer reviews in Australian platforms document brown stains appearing on clothes after wash cycles, spinning failures within 3 years of purchase, and drainage problems developing well before the product's expected lifespan. The commercial rationale for maintaining the Simpson brand under Electrolux is the consumer recognition it carries. Australian buyers who remember a reliable Simpson machine from a parent's laundry make purchasing decisions partly on that memory. The product they receive reflects the manufacturing economics of a brand being managed for its name recognition rather than its engineering heritage. Choice testing is unambiguous. 0 recommended models. Retailers that continue to stock Simpson washing machines do so on the strength of the brand's consumer recognition and the price point it occupies in the market. Neither of those factors changes the performance outcome that Choice testing documents. The machine on the shelf carries the name of a brand that Australians trusted for decades. Whether it carries the engineering that justified that trust is a different question, and the answer is measurable in Choice's test data. Number 3. ASCO, close to $2,000. That is the price point at which this brand positions its washing machines in the Australian market. Premium pricing communicates quality, longevity, and the kind of engineering investment that justifies the difference between a budget appliance and one that is expected to last the better part of 2 decades. The consumer reviews accumulated on productreview.com.au for ASCO washing machines in Australia fail to reflect that expectation being met. Do not buy ASCO. Overpriced junk with zero support. That direct assessment, posted by a consumer who compared the failure of a nearly $2,000 ASCO machine at under 4 years with a Fisher & Paykel that had run reliably for 12 years, is a representative sample of the review pattern. Premium pricing and premium reliability are being experienced by Australian consumers as 2 separate outcomes rather than a single combined proposition. The after-sales service structure for ASCO in Australia compounds the product reliability problem. A Swedish brand operating through a distribution arrangement rather than a dedicated subsidiary faces the challenges common to imported premium appliances. Service technicians with specific model knowledge are fewer. Parts availability depends on international supply logistics rather than local stock. And response times when something goes wrong reflect a support infrastructure that is less dense than the brand's price point implies. An appliance that fails before the decade mark at a $2,000 purchase price produces a total cost of ownership that exceeds what a mid-range machine from a better-tested brand would have delivered over the same period. The premium paid at the point of purchase fell short of a premium for longevity and amounted instead to payment for a brand name that carries more weight in Scandinavian markets than the Australian after-sales experience has justified. ASCO's broader lesson for the Australian market is that price fails to guarantee outcome in the washing machine category. Choices testing finds no consistent correlation between retail price and test performance across the brands in its review pool. Consumers who assume that a $2,000 machine is twice as good as a $1,000 machine are working from an assumption that the data consistently fails to support. Number 2. Ariston. The Ariston Thermo Group's washing machine range has been discontinued in Australia. Choice holds test results for Ariston models under the discontinued category, reflecting a brand that built enough of a retail presence to be tested by Australia's leading consumer organisation and then withdrew without the kind of formal market exit announcement that would have reached the consumers who purchased its machines. Ariston positioned itself as a European brand bringing Italian engineering to the Australian appliance market. That positioning attracted buyers who were seeking an alternative to Asian-manufactured brands at a price point between budget and premium. Italian heritage communication was an effective retail differentiator in a market where country of manufacture carries implicit quality associations. The practical consequence of Ariston's Australian withdrawal is the same as it is for every brand in this list that has exited the market. Consumers who purchased Ariston washing machines own an orphan appliance. Its local presence that would normally underwrite warranty claims, spare parts supply, and authorized service has contracted to the point where meaningful support is effectively unavailable. A brand that exits a market after establishing a consumer base leaves behind a specific kind of damage. The consumers who bought on the strength of the brand's positioning, its retail presence, and the implied commitment that comes with selling a major appliance have no recourse to the entity that made those implicit promises when the entity is gone. For Ariston washing machine owners in Australia, that is the current position. The experience of owning an Ariston machine in Australia in 2026 is the experience of owning an appliance with no active manufacturer relationship behind it. When the control board develops a fault, when the drum bearing begins to fail, or when the pump stops draining, the path to resolution runs through the general appliance repair market rather than any brand-specific channel. Number 1. Samsung, 144,000 washing machines. That is the scale of Samsung's Australian washing machine recall, announced in 2013 after the company identified that moisture could penetrate the electrical connectors in affected top-loader models, creating a fire risk. By December 2015, 45,047 of those recalled machines remained unlocated. They were in Australian homes, running cycles, presenting a fire risk that the ACCC described as serious. Over 200 fires and fire-related incidents in Australian homes were attributed to the affected Samsung top-loader models. The machines were sold between 2010 and 2013, and T6 models involved in the recall caused documented property damage across a period that stretched well beyond the initial recall announcement. Samsung's initial response to the recall was to offer a repair consisting of a fire-retardant plastic bag installed over the electrical connectors, a resolution that Choice and the ACCC both identified as inadequate for what the evidence indicated was a major failure. For 2 years after the recall was announced, the company offered only repairs rather than the refunds that Australian consumer law entitles consumers to when a product has a major failure. Choice applied sustained pressure to Samsung and engaged the ACCC to issue guidance making clear that consumers were entitled to their choice of remedy. Samsung eventually announced refunds in September 2015. The brand's reliability record beyond the recall is also relevant. Independent analysis places Samsung's washing machine failure rate at 18.4% after 5 years, nearly 1 in 5 machines, developing a significant fault before the halfway point of an expected operational life. In 2022, the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission announced a further recall of more than 660,000 Samsung top-load washers for fire risk, a second major recall event from a brand that had already demonstrated it could produce machines that catch fire in the homes of the people who bought them in good faith. For Australian consumers considering a Samsung washing machine purchase, the recall record, the reliability data, and the company's documented history of prioritizing repair over the consumer rights that Australian law provides are the most relevant information available. All of it's found in the ACCC's product safety database and in 12 years of Choice coverage of AirRecall that left tens of thousands of dangerous machines in Australian homes long after the hazard was identified. If someone you know is about to buy a washing machine, share this with them first. Worth every dollar. Fisher & Paykel. New Zealand's flagship appliance brand holds the strongest reliability reputation of any washing machine manufacturer operating in the Australian market. Choice's testing consistently places its front loaders and top loaders in the recommended tier, and repair technician surveys identify the brand as among the least frequently appearing in Australian workshop records. Its Australian service network reflects a brand whose primary market has always been Australasia, with authorized technicians in every major city and local parts inventory that resolves warranty claims faster than any brand on this list could manage. LG. Choice recommended models across multiple categories and a reliability record that Consumer Reports places in the top tier of global washing machine manufacturers. LG's direct drive motor technology eliminates the belt mechanism whose failure drives a significant proportion of Australian workshop presentations. LG's 10-year motor warranty communicates an engineering confidence that the brands on this list are in no position to match, and its service network operates through authorized technicians in every state and territory.